speaking. These are skills we need in communication. And when we talk about writing, this involves, of course, our ability, right, to put down on paper our ideas from our mind, organize them properly, follow the right template, follow the right format, make sure that every idea of our paragraph is related to the next paragraph, to the next paragraph, so on and so forth. And when it comes to speaking, it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that you're not obviously using your hands with your pen to write down your ideas on paper, but you're uttering words. But these words also come from your brain, from your mind. So therefore, you must also organize your ideas well, your utterance as well, so that you can be clearly understood by your target audience. And the last skill is presenting, which is much more challenging because it doesn't only involve writing, doesn't only involve speaking, it also involves a lot of other things such as paying attention to your audience, looking at their reactions based on their facial expressions, their body language, their energy level. It also requires that you project yourself well in terms of your voice, in terms of the way you carry yourself when roaming around the room, as well as answering questions. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic idea about purposive communication. Now, I'd like to add more. Since we're talking about purposive communication, there are two other words I'd like you to remember. Number one is purpose. What's the reason you are communicating? Okay, think about it. Okay, I'd like you to think about it for a few seconds. What's your purpose for communicating? Is it to inform your audience? Is it to persuade your audience? Is it to argue? Is it to inspire or motivate? Or is it also to entertain? So these are the five, basic purposes or aims why we are communicating. Always think about that. And the other word that I'd like you to remember is audience. Okay, let's repeat. Audience. It's important that you know your audience very well. Who are your listeners? Who are your readers? Who are your viewers? Because your message will depend or will have to adjust depending on your target audience. You will have to choose much simpler words if you're speaking, let's say, with kids, with teenagers, than if you're speaking with PhD holders, right? Because if you're speaking with PhD holders, they have a lot of knowledge and expertise, so they also expect you as a communicator to use a variety of words, a range of words from technical terminologies, jargons, colloquialisms, slangs. These are the different registers or formalities of language that you must be able to demonstrate when talking with high-level or highly educated people. So that's about purposive communication in a nutshell. Okay, let's add more to this. Now, since purposive communication is very important in our daily lives, we need to talk about the different components of communication. And number one is language, obviously. So experts say that language is a system of many systems. Let's repeat that. Language is a system of many systems. Now, why did we say system? What is a system in the first place? System is made up of different components or parts, and these parts are interconnected, okay, or interdependent. The parts are interdependent, interconnected, and they function as one. Let's repeat. System is composed of many parts or components. They are interconnected, interdependent, and they function as one. Okay? So that's what we mean by system. Just like respiratory system, what else? Circulatory system, skeletal system, they are made up of different parts. Language is the same. It's made up of different parts. So what are the parts of language? Well, obviously, let's show them to you. Here are the parts: the grammar, the sounds, and the vocabulary. So when we say grammar, we are referring to the rules. What else? To the patterns of language, to the reasons why we have to follow certain word orders, such as subject, verb, order, subject, verb, object, order, right? In English language, we follow the SVO pattern: subject, verb, order. For example, Adrian eats a banana, right? Subject, verb, order. Adrian eats a banana. But in Filipino, in other languages, the word order is different, correct? Let's say in Tagalog, the word order is usually verb, subject, object, correct? So for example, kumakain si Adrian ng saging. That's the usual word order in Tagalog or in Filipino, different from English. So it's also important as a communicator that you know grammar, regardless whether you are Filipino major, science major, math major, English major, you must know grammar, or else you will not be able to clearly communicate your ideas with your audience. Now let's move on to the sounds, okay? The sounds that come out of our mouths, very important. Make sure that the sounds are clear. Make sure that the sounds are loud enough. Not too loud, not too soft, but it should be well modulated so that everyone can hear the sounds. When you speak, you must be articulate, you must be eloquent, try to avoid a lot of fillers like right? We call these verbal fillers. Although they are natural features of spoken language, but if there are too many of them, when you speak, they tend to be so distracting for the audience. Okay, now speaking of sounds, I'd like to tell you two more terminologies that you have to remember because these are asked in the previous exams. What are those terminologies related to sounds? Number one is phonology. Let's repeat, phonology. And what is it? It's the study of sounds at the abstract, conceptual, or theoretical level. Let's repeat, study of sounds at the abstract, conceptual, or theoretical level. So something that you cannot hold, something that you cannot measure, right? It exists in the brain, something to that effect. For example, there's a word such as let's repeat that. There's a word such as phoneme. Phoneme. How do you spell? PHONEME. Phoneme. And what is phoneme? Well, it's just a fancy term for sound, basic unit of sound. Okay, and that's the one being studied in phonology. All right, that is phoneme. Now, another terminology related to sounds is phonetics. Let's repeat, phonetics. 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 And what is it? It's the study of sound at the physical level. Okay, physical level. So, for example, it's something that you can measure with an instrument or with a device. So, for example, the loudness of your voice, your volume, the volume. What else? The pitch of your voice, how high or how low your voice is when you talk. What else? The pauses, or the technical term for it, pause in speech is juncture. 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 So if you have a lot of or dead air when you speak, that can also be measured by a device, right? By a gadget. So if you can measure the sounds with a device or gadget, then that pertains to phonetics. Okay, now let's move on to vocabulary. Same thing with the other two parts. Vocabulary, very crucial when it comes to language and communication. Because if you have a limited range of vocabulary, it's so difficult for you to explain your ideas well, right? So, for example, you have a bunch of PhD holders as your audience members, and you only know, let's say, 100 words. In the dictionary, you only know 100 words. So, imagine how limited your explanation, your elaboration will be when, let's say, talking about theories, when talking about principles, when talking about laws or strategies. You will not impress your audience then if you have limited vocabulary. So it's very important that we continue to build our vocabulary. So my suggestion is for you to have your vocabulary journal, which is a notebook, and then every day you write down maybe at least 5 new words that you encounter when you read, when you watch, or when you scroll different social media. Write them down on your journal. Beside them, write the definition and then come up with your own sentences. And try your best to use them when you speak, when you write, so that you continuously build your vocabulary. Okay, now aside from those parts, let's talk about the method of human communication. Now, other synonyms for method are mode, medium, channel. Okay, let's repeat. Mode, medium, channel. These are the synonyms of the word method. Take note of them because sometimes the synonyms of words are also asked in the exam. So what are the methods of human communication? There are 4 of them. What are those 4? We have the verbal, non-verbal, visual, and written. Let's repeat. Verbal, non-verbal, visual, and written. So what I'm using right now primarily is verbal method. So when we say verbal, these are words, right? Words that come out of my mouth and they mean something. They are meaningful to you. You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, correct? That is verbal. Next is the non-verbal. Okay? Non-verbal. What do we mean by that? Here, we don't use words. Okay, we don't use words, but what do we use? We use hand movements, or what we call gestures. Hand movements, gestures. We also use our body language, right? The way we carry our body when we stand or when we walk. We also use our facial expressions, correct? And then our eye contact, and many more. Later on, we're going to enumerate the non-verbal communication, the different elements of non-verbal communication. Next is visual communication. So here we're using our sense of sight, our vision, when we are communicating. So for example, you see a graph, you see a map, you see a table, you see a diagram, you see pictures, images, logos. Then we use our sense of sight to make sense of what we are looking at, what we are seeing. And that's what we mean by visual communication. And the 4th one is written communication. Okay, written communication. So here, what we use is alphabets. Okay, alphabets, letters, what else? Script. Okay, different script. Let's say Japanese script, Korean script, Chinese script, Arabian script, and what have you. So as long as we're using alphabets, letters, or script when we communicate, then we call that written method of human communication. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now let's move on. Okay, another concept that you have to remember about language is acquired or learned. Acquired or learned, or we can also say acquisition or learning. Acquisition or learning. Now, according to a language expert named Stephen Krashen, there are 2 ways to develop language. Number 1 is acquisition. Acquisition is the natural way of developing language. Why natural? Because according to Krashen, this is how children develop language without direct instruction or without direct teaching from adults. Okay, so how do they develop the language? By interacting with their peers, by interacting with other children. So when they talk with other children, they discover the language on their own. That's what we mean by acquisition. Natural way of developing language. No one is teaching the children language or how to speak language, how to use language directly. It's the children who discover the rules of language themselves. And of course, we have learning. Learning is the opposite. This is the way of developing language unnaturally, according to Krashen. Why unnatural? Because there is someone teaching children directly how to use, how to speak the language. So for example, you go to a classroom, you see there the teacher telling the students, okay, children, for you to learn English language, the English sentence, you must think of the subject first, then follow that with a verb, and then follow that with an object. That's what we mean by learning. There is someone directly teaching children how to speak, how to use the language. Okay, so those are two different systems. One is natural, that's acquisition. The other one is unnatural, we call learning. All right, now moving on, let's talk about the following related concepts. So we have mother tongue and then second language. We know what mother tongue is, right? It's another phrase for our L1, right? Our first language. Now, we know that in the Philippines, there are many mother tongues, right? Because we have different regions. We have different, the Philippines is a multilingual society. So we also have different mother tongues or first languages. Now, according to research, mother tongue plays an important role in learning the second language because mother tongue facilitates the learning of second language. What do we mean by that? If children have strong foundation in their mother tongue, according to research, then more likely it's much easier for them the second language because they already learned the concepts in their mother tongue, which is much easier for them. And so when they learn a second language, the learning of concepts in that second language is much going to be smoother because there is no more linguistic barrier. So that is the relationship between mother tongue and second language. All right? Mother tongue helps facilitate in the learning of second language. And then moving on, let's talk about language contact. So this is a phenomenon in which a member of one linguistic community makes a contact with another member of a linguistic community. Let's say a Kapampangan makes a contact with a Bicolano, right? They don't know each other's languages, but once they make a contact, maybe through nonverbal communication, they would exchange eye glances, maybe gestures, then there's already language contact. And then over time, maybe they will develop some simpler words that both of them can understand, and then it will evolve into much more complicated verbal messages. And then at that point, there will be language change. Language change is when the language is improved or is reduced because of the constant exchange between different members of linguistic communities. All right, so these are the basic things, basic ideas you have to remember about language. Now, speaking of language, let's have a little review of grammar and correct usage because sometimes in the exam, these things are also asked. So might as well have a review of grammar and usage today so that you will be prepared. Okay, so I'll present to you. These are the definitions of the parts of speech. All you need to do in the comment section or in the Q&A, of MS Teams, just type the definition. Type the word that is being referred to. Okay, let's begin. This is a word that names something such as a person, place, thing, or idea. This should be easy for you guys. Okay, what do you call this? What part of speech is this? Obviously, this is a noun. There you go. So what's an example of a noun? Joan Adrian Tabalanza. That's a proper noun, correct? Because all the initials are capitalized. Okay, good. Next, a word that substitutes for nouns or replaces nouns. This should be easy. This is a pronoun. Good job. Now, what are examples of pronouns? We have obviously personal pronouns like me, myself, me, I, he, she, it, they, etc. What else? There are also what we call possessive nouns, right? Nouns that show possession, like it's, his, hers, ours, etc. Next, a word that shows actions or conditions. Okay, it starts with V, victory, that is verb, obviously. And of course, there are also many kinds of verbs, right? The one that we know is action verb. So these are words that show actions or concrete actions like jump, run, eat. Okay, what else? There are also linking verbs. Examples are is, are, was, were. Next, a word that describes nouns or pronouns. What do we call this? Modifier, in short. We call this adjectives. Okay, adjectives. So what are examples of adjectives? Beautiful, pretty, ugly, tall, small, high, and many more. Okay. There are also different kinds of adjectives, right? We also have what we call descriptive adjectives. So from the word describe, these are words that simply describe the nouns that they refer to or the pronouns that they refer to. There are also what we call comparative adjectives, right? They usually end in ER, for example, smaller, taller, or you can also add the word more before the adjective. Let's say more amazing. What else? More stupendous. Okay. There's also superlative adjectives. Examples are tallest, right? Ugliest, happiest. So they end in est, or they may also start with most if the adjective is 2 syllables or more. For example, the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard. So most ridiculous. All right, next, a word that describes verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. It also starts with letter A. This is an adverb. All right, so what are examples of adverbs? Usually they end in li. Example: gracefully, beautifully. What else? Slowly, right? But not all words ending in li are adverbs. Okay, some of them may be adjectives as well. For example, friendly. Friendly is not adjective, but it is adverb. What else? There are also adverbs of time. For example, now, today, yesterday, tomorrow. Next. So this one is a preposition. It shows the relationship of nouns or pronouns with other words. So what are the common prepositions that we know? In, on, at, by, to, from, under, over. What else? Many more. In spite of, despite, according to. So those are preposition. Next, connects words, phrases, and clauses. What do we call this? Starts with letter C. We call it conjunction. Okay, now what are the different types of conjunctions? We have coordinating conjunctions, right? Do you remember coordinating? These are the fun boys. else? What are fanboys again? Acronym for and what else? Nor, okay, but, or, yet, so. So these conjunctions connect two independent clauses together, right? So that's conjunction. Next, we have a word used to express feelings like surprise, joy, disgust, or pain. Example, wow, OMG, huh? Okay, so what do we call this part of speech? We call it interjection. There you go. So these are the basic parts of speech. I hope you still remember them. Okay, now let's move on to the word meaning. Okay, we know that language involves meaning. Okay, and we know that words also have meaning. So what should we know about word meaning? The basic ones. Let's talk about synonymy and antonymy. When we say synonymy, this is the quality of a word to have similar meanings with other words, right? So just remember the word similar meaning. So here they are. Here are the examples of synonyms. So smart, what is the synonym? Clever. What else? Maybe intelligent, maybe bright, also a synonym of smart. Now, in the previous exam, the word distaff was asked. And what's the synonym of distaff? Woman-like, meaning it has the quality of a woman. So take note of that. What else? The word clean, its synonym is neat or maybe tidy also. So obviously, these are just some examples. So what I'm trying to suggest here is for you to keep adding to the list of these words and synonyms because they might also be asked in the exam. So you must constantly add on to your list of vocabulary. Now let's talk about antonymy, which is the opposite meaning. Okay, so for example, we have coward. What's the opposite? It's brave. How about light? It's dark. How about tall? It's short. How about pretty? Ugly. Okay, how about high? Could be short as well, right? How about wide? Narrow. Okay, so those are the examples of antonyms. Right, so let's move on. Now let's talk about phrasal verbs. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what is a phrasal verb? Okay, well, from the word verb, so it's an action word, correct? But it's not only one word. Usually, it's composed of two or more words. So that's what we mean by phrasal verb. Okay, these are a phrasal verb is a verb in phrase form, not just one word. Okay, and this phrasal verb, its meaning is not necessarily literal. Okay, its meaning is not necessarily literal because when you combine the verb, let's say with other words such as prepositions like up, like off, like after, then the meaning of the combined words changes, right? They become different. They're not literal per se. So let's have an example. Bring up. What's the meaning of that? To mention or introduce a topic, right? It doesn't necessarily it doesn't literally mean to put something on a high level, right? That's the literal definition of bring up. It's different. Here, when we say bring up, it means to mention or introduce a topic. Example sentence. They brought up gay marriage last meeting. Right? So that's what we mean by phrasal verb. Next, call off. What's the meaning? To cancel something. Example, we called off the wedding because of outbreak. Okay, what else? We called off the meeting because of an emergency. There you go. Next, look after. The meaning of that is to take care of someone or something. Example sentence. I promise to look after you for the rest of our lives. Aww, how sweet. Okay, can you think of your own example? Look after. Are you looking after your parents, your ailing parents maybe, or your elderly grandparents? Maybe. Good for you if you're doing that. Okay, now let's continue. Here's another list of phrasal verbs. So I'd like you to match those in column A with those in column B. Alright, let's test your understanding of phrasal verbs. I'll give you 10 seconds to do the matching. Time starts now. Type your answer in the comment section, please. Okay, let's begin. Now, what is the meaning of turn down? Okay, turn down. This should be easy. Letter E, to reject or refuse. Let's come up with a sentence. I turned down the offer of ABS-CBN for me to become their biggest star because I am a star in the universe. Okay, let's go to number 2, breakdown. What letter is breakdown? That's letter G, to stop functioning. Let's have a sentence. My brain broke down because of too much information from Sir Adrian. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I hope your brain is not breaking down at this moment. Okay, it's still too early to break down. Next, run into. What letter? This is letter A, to meet someone unexpectedly. What's a sentence? I ran into an old friend yesterday and he became much more handsome. There you go. Invent a story. What's a sentence? The child made up a story in order not to be punished. There you go. Usually children would make up stories, right? So that they will not be scolded, not reprimanded, or not be punished by their parents. Number 5, get along. What letter? This is letter B, to have a good relationship. Okay, example sentence. Hey, are we still getting along? Or maybe you find me annoying. Something like that. Next, number 6, carry on. This is letter D, continue doing something. Okay, example sentence. Hey guys, would you like me to carry on or would you like me to stop talking? I hope you wish me to carry on because there's still a lot we have to learn. And then last, obviously, is come across. This is letter C, to find or meet by chance. Example, I came across a theory propounded by Lev Vygotsky, and that theory is called social interaction theory. There you go. All right, so here's a list of phrasal verbs. Again, I'd like you to add more to this list. Continue to add to your vocabulary journal. Okay, let's move on to idioms. Now, sir, what is an idiom? Idiom is similar to phrasal verbs, right? However, idioms are lengthier. Okay, there are more words in idioms. And the meaning of idioms, again, not literal. They are figurative. They have much deeper meaning because of the cultural and emotional associations. So, here's the definition. And here are the examples of idioms. There you go. Number 1 is kick the bucket. It means to die. right? Now, what's an example sentence? I was so sad yesterday because I found out that one of my classmates just kicked the bucket. So there you go. Next is spill the beans, meaning to reveal a secret. Example sentence. I was so excited to meet you today because I know that you will not stop telling me what happened yesterday. You're going to spill the beans. There you go. Next, green thumb. It means that you are good at gardening. And during pandemic, many people develop their green thumb, right? Many people discovered that they are good at planting. Many of them became plantitos and plantitas. So they had green thumb. Next is piece of cake, which means something very easy. Example sentence. I know that you find purposive communication a piece of cake, right? If you agree with that statement, give me a heart emoji, please, in the comment section. This is just a piece of cake, right? Next, all that glitters is not gold, meaning not everything that looks good is valuable. Interesting idiom. But let's have an example. In show business, I realized that all that glitters is not gold. Think about it, right? Not everything in show business is fun, fame, the fans, the noise. Some of them may end up, in rehab because of too much addiction. So that's an example of that idiom. Next, water under the bridge. It means past events no longer important. It's like, let bygone be bygone, and forget the past and move on. Example sentence. I know you've hurt me in the past, but it's just water under the bridge now. I have forgiven you a long time ago. Aww. Okay, I hope that we can also adopt that kind of mindset, right? Because the only time is now, the only place is here and now. So don't let your past hold you back, right? So that you can move forward with ease, with grace in your heart. All right. So those are idioms. Now let's continue developing your vocabulary. I will flash here a list of words that were asked in the previous exam. So please be mindful of these words. Number 1, pulchritude. What do you think is the meaning of pulchritude? Is it positive or negative? It's positive. So it means loveliness. There you go. Loveliness. Another word, abase. Abase. So it's something high or something low? What do you think? High or low? It's low. So it means demoted. Next, despotic. What do you think of despotic? Something positive or negative? It is something negative. So it's something cruel, usually used to describe, a cruel leader, like a dictator. Next, persiflage. What do you think of this word? Positive and negative? It's positive, I believe, because it means a kind of banter. What kind of banter? A light, playful banter. Okay, playful banter. In Tagalog, it's like huntahan, like biruan. Okay, that's what we mean by persiflage. Next, dexterity. Okay, dexterous. What's the meaning of that? Something related to skills. So this means manual skills. Next, we have amorphous. Amorphous. Okay, the root word is morph, which means shape. And then when we add the prefix a, it means no shape or shapeless. Okay? Next, sine qua non. What do we mean by that? Is it something important or not important? What do you think? It's something important, actually very important. You cannot dispense with it, right? You cannot avoid it. You cannot ignore it. Like purposive communication, it is a sine qua non to your passing the Gen Ed section of the Let. Next, loquacious. Loquacious is talkative. Talkative. Just like yours truly. I'm very talkative right now. Next, conflagration. Have you ever been in this situation? You experience a wildfire? That is conflagration. Next, composure. Well, this word is not that unfamiliar to you. This is pretty basic, but in the exam, the word that's asked is its synonym, which is aplomb. So there you go. Aplomb is the synonym of composure. Next, penchant. Penchant is a word similar to your tendency or your fondness of something. Maybe you're fond of video games, or you're fond of animes, so something that you like or something that you tend to do. Next, transmuted. From the word transmute, what's the meaning? Changed. All right. Next, transcendental. Transcend. What's the meaning of that? Something beyond the physical, right? Something beyond this world. So it could be spiritual or supernatural. Next, we have rancor. Rancor. What's the meaning of that? So think of rancor as this, maybe, I'm not sure if it's a fruit or it's a vegetable, but it's green and it's something that you don't want to eat raw, okay? Because it's too bitter. So when you say rancor, it means bitterness. So think of it as the bitter gourd, or in Tagalog, ang palaya. Next, carnal. What is carnal? Meaning to say, it's worldly. Worldly. Okay, off the physical level. Or in Tagalog, you can also say this as makamundo. There you go. Next, amor con, amor se paga. Perhaps you have an idea of the meaning of amor, which means love. So this means love begets love. There you go. Next, alter ego. What's the meaning? Alter ego, it could mean a separate, inseparable friend. Right? If you have this friend who's always with you wherever you go, you can call that friend an alter ego. And the last word is euphoria. Okay, what do you think of this? Positive or negative? Okay, it is something positive. Right? I hope you would experience euphoria after our session of purposive communication. And what is euphoria? Extreme happiness. Yes! I'm really crossing my fingers. By 5 o'clock this afternoon, you will experience euphoria because finally you're done with this subject. All right, now let's continue. We still have a lot of things to learn. Okay, so we're done with that. Let's continue discussing purposive communication. This time, let's talk about the meaning of communication. Now, think about it for a few seconds. What is the meaning of communication? Can you type in the comment section? Type, please. Well, communication came from the Latin term communicare. Okay, comunicare. What's the meaning? To share or to make common. What else? It is the process of understanding and sharing meaning. So that is what we share. We share meaning to other people. What else? We share our thoughts, we share our ideas, but we also share our feelings with other people, correct? So it's not only about the thoughts, the ideas, the information, we also share our feelings with them. There you go. Now, aside from the meaning of communication, let's talk about what we call the nature of communication. Okay, nature of communication. Number one, communication is much more than words. I mean, isn't it obvious? Communication is much more than words. It's not only words that you hear from me, but you also see my facial expression when I talk, right? You also see my gestures. You also see how I move my body when I talk to you, when I look at you in the eye. So all these things communicate something to you. They add meaning to the words that you hear from me. That's what we mean by communication is much more than words. Next is communication is a process. What's the meaning of that? Well, we know that a process consists of a series of steps, right? That's what we mean. Communication is composed of a series of steps. It begins with, let's say, the sender. The sender crafts the message. This message goes through what we call channel, and then the message is received, interpreted by the receiver, and then this receiver might provide a reply back to the sender. That's what we mean by process. It follows certain steps. And the next one is communication is between two or more people. Again, isn't it obvious? Right? It's me. I'm talking to you. There are actually many of you here listening to the session. So communication does not only involve one person. It involves a lot of people, two or more people. But take note, okay? Important note to remember, there's one type of communication that involves only one person. Okay, what do you think that type of communication? Can you type in the comment section? One person only. What type of communication is that? I know you know this. This is intrapersonal communication. Okay, intrapersonal. We're going to talk more about the different types of communication later on. Okay, now here are the three aspects of the nature of communication, but I'd love to add more. Of course, I'd love to expound on what we are talking about. Another aspect is that communication is multifunctional. Let's repeat, multifunctional. Meaning to say, communication has a lot of functions. Number one is it can be used to control people. Control. Now, who do you think controls people when they communicate? These are the people in authority. These are the people in power, such as your boss, your manager, the CEO of a company, maybe public officials, right? Government officials, or even your parents. They communicate to control your behavior. Maybe you're misbehaving. They tell you, hey, behave or you face the wall, right? Next is social interaction. According to three experts, Madruño, Martin, and Hermosa, let's repeat, Madruño, Martin, and Hermosa, the primary function of communication is for social interaction. Okay, let's reflect on that a little bit. If you're not at work or if you're not in school, what do you usually do? Well, you hang out with your friends, you talk about random things, about your relationships, about the news, about the food that you ate yesterday, about your family drama, about the things you've watched, all those stuff, right? This is what people usually do when they're not working, when they're not studying. Simply getting to know each other, getting updates from one another. So that's the primary function of communication according to Madruño, Martin, and Hermosa. Next function is for motivation. Who do you think are the people that would communicate to motivate? Well, we have public speakers, motivational speakers, we have coaches, we have mentors, we have teachers, you have your big brothers, big sisters. These are the people who would actually communicate with you to inspire you, to motivate you, so that you can live a better life. You can have a better understanding of relationships, better understanding of your circumstances, etc. Next function, emotional expression. I mean, this is pretty obvious. We communicate to express our emotions, like happiness. You express that feeling through your facial expression, through the sounds that come out of your mouth, like ha 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 ha. So when you laugh, when you guffaw, you express sadness as well when you hear bad news. You express anger when you're mad. express disgust when you see something irritating or see something blood boiling. And then the last one, the one that I'm using now, is information communication. We communicate. Information dissemination. So I communicate to share information, details about purposive communication. All right. So I hope that is clear to all of you. That's the nature of communication. Now let's proceed to the process of communication. What do you see here? So we see here like what do you call this? Like a house, and then this house is composed of different parts. Now let's talk about the steps involved in the process of communication. The first step is the sender, obviously. Now the sender is the one responsible for what? What does the sender do? The sender encodes the message. And what do we mean by encode? Encode is to transform or convert, convert the thoughts, the ideas, and the feelings into something meaningful, into meaningful sounds, meaningful signals, meaningful symbols. That's the meaning of encoding. Transform thoughts, ideas, feelings into meaningful sounds, symbols, signals. And then once these thoughts, these feelings are encoded, they now become a message. Right? Message. Now the message is considered the heart of communication. Why is that? Why is it the heart? Because think about it. Why are you listening to me right now? Why are you here spending your time with me? Because of the message I have, correct? And what is my message? Purposive communication. And is this message important to you? Yes, it is. Without this, more likely you will not pass your Gen Ed. So that's why it's important that you listen to my message. Okay. Now, after that, this message is now going to pass through what we call channel. All right? Channel. Now, again, what are the synonyms of channel? Do you remember? Mode, medium, method. Okay. Mode, medium, method. Those are the synonyms of channel. So this is where the channel, the message goes through or passes through. Okay, now after that, there could be an interference. Once the message passes through the channel, there could be an interference, preventing the message from being successfully delivered to the receiver. Now, other words for interference are the following: noise, barriers, hindrance, blocks. Okay, one more time: noise, barriers, hindrance, blocks. So just take note of those synonyms. All right, now there are different types of noise. We're going to discuss one by one these types later on. All right, now let's pretend there is no interference. The message is successfully delivered to the receiver. And what does the receiver do? The receiver decodes the message. Now, what's the meaning of decode? Decode means interpret. What again? Interpret. Now, you might think that interpreting the message is easy. The answer is no, it's not easy. Why? Because interpretation is influenced by a lot of factors. What are those factors? Let's say the cultural background of the receiver. What else? The psychological condition of the receiver. Maybe the linguistic ability of the receiver. Maybe the upbringing of the receiver. All these factors can contribute to how the message is decoded or interpreted. Now, if you just imagine, if I'm talking to you, and then if I ask you to tell me something that you remember, each one of you will probably provide a different answer because you're coming from different places. You have different ways of interpreting my message, and that's what we mean by decoding or interpreting. All right, now let's say the receiver is able to receive the message well. Now this receiver might give a reply, or what we call feedback. All right, now what are the synonyms of feedback? There you go. That's one is reply, another is response, another is reaction. There you go. Response, reply, reaction. Now let me ask you this. If you tell me that I'm beautiful and I keep quiet, I do not say a word, the question is, do I give you a reply? Do I give you a feedback? Yes or no? Okay, please type your answer in the comment section. If you tell me that I'm beautiful and then I just keep quiet, I do not say a word, is there feedback?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, type your answer in the comment section. What do you think? The answer is
Yes. No?
yes, there is still feedback. Why? Because even silence is considered feedback. Why? Because it means something. Silence can mean something. It can mean that I don't care about you, or it can mean, who are you? I don't know you. I don't give a you know what I'm saying, right? It could mean that I'm mad, so in order not to exacerbate or worsen the situation, I'd rather keep my reaction to myself. So I'd rather be mum or quiet. But I'm still, that silence is still giving a message to the sender. So that's what we mean by feedback. No feedback is still feedback. All right, now if the feedback is received by the sender, what happens to the communication process? It now becomes a circle or a cycle. Okay? It now becomes a cycle if there is feedback. All right, now other terms we have to understand are context and environment. Okay, now what do we mean by context? Context is a broader term than environment. Context is the psychological and the psychosocial space where communication takes place. Okay, let's repeat that. Context is the psychological, psychosocial space where communication takes place. And this context, right, this involves a few things. One of them is environment. So in other words, context is here and then environment is here. Environment is actually part of context. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to highlight here. Now, under context, we have the environment. Now, environment is the physical dimension of communication. Okay, let's repeat. Environment is the physical dimension of environment. And environment involves the location, it involves time, it involves temperature, and it involves event. Okay, let's repeat. Environment involves location, time, temperature, and event. For example, right now you are listening to me through MS Teams, right? And maybe you are, you are in different locations in the Philippines. I'm pretty sure of that. Maybe one location it's too quiet, the other location it's too noisy. So the way your type of location will affect the way you are absorbing, the way you are interpreting my message because of where you are right now. And in terms of time, what time is it? It's 9:15 a.m. So perhaps you still have a lot of, you can still pay attention to me, right? Your attention span is still pretty strong. Now imagine you are listening to me at 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you think you can still pay attention to me? Probably not, because you are very sleepy at that point. So that's what I mean by environment. Environment affects the way we communicate with each other. Okay, because of the location, the time, the temperature, and the event where we are talking. All right, so these are the things that we have to remember about the process of communication. And I hope that makes sense to all of you. Okay, let's move on. Let's now talk about the different kinds of barriers. Okay, so I mentioned barriers or interference